Hello everyone, myself Victoria Gupta. I am a fifth year law student from Galgotias University. So the today topic which I am going to discuss is gender injustice in India. So the very first thing that came to our mind is what is injustice over gender. We all know means getting privileged. Hello everyone, myself Victoria Gupta. I am a fifth year law student from Galgotias University. And the today topic which I am going to discuss is gender justice in India. So the very first thing that came to our mind is what is injustice over gender. So we all know injustice means getting privileged or biased over another is injustice. But what will be the consequences of the injustice will based on gender. It is usually the women who have to face such gender discrimination. But I'm not denying with the fact that men doesn't face discrimination, but the majority will goes to the woman side only. So what is gender? So the concept that refers to the social differences between women and men that have been learned are changeable over time and have wide variation both within and between culture. Injustice is a significant issue in India where women and other marginalized genders often face discrimination and inequality in various aspects of life. Despite the country's constitutional provision and legal protections for genders equality, many women still face systematic barriers to accessing education, healthcare, employment, and political representatives. The second is what is the challenges. So one of the most significant challenges is gender based violence, including domestic violence, sexual harassment, and rape. India has been several high profile cases of sexual assault and rape, including the 2012 Delhi gang rape. We all know about this, and murder. The sparked whispered protests and calls for action. Despite increased awareness and attention to the issue, women in India continues to face high level of sexual violences still now, with many cases going unreported and inadequately prosecuted. So the basic reason for this is will be the social stigma, those who don't report for their rape cases. Women also face discrimination in education and employment, with fewer opportunity and lower wages compared to men. There are also cultural norms and traditional gender inequality, such as the preferences for male children and the practice of dowry, which often leads to female infanticide, feticide, and forced marriages. Although there have been efforts to address gender equality in India, progress has been such slow and much work remains to be done. It essential to continue raising awareness about gender biased discrimination, promoting women's rights and empowerment, and holding perpetrators of gender biased violence accountable. Additionally, it is crucial to address the underlying social attitudes and cultural norms that perpetuate gender equality to bring about large changes. Okay, then the second would be the causes, that what will be the causes for gender equality. So inequality is a pressing issue in India society. Despite a constitutional that guarantees equal rights for men and women and decades of legislations, some deep rooted gender discrimination in India takes a brutal role on women's life. Even after rapid economical growth, gender disparities remain all too familiar. Thousand girls die each day before reaching the age of 5 due to neglect. India has been ranked low on various indices that measures gender equality, including economic participation and opportunity, educational attainment, health and survival, political empowerment, and legal protection. Due to multiple factors such as high level of female discrimination in India, as well as various discrimination social norms, laws, and cultural practices, one of the most key area or example of gender inequality in India where women face discrimination includes less access of education and employment, underrepresented in political position, poorer health, nutrition than men, and the most obvious violence against women. While deeper analysis of the problem may cause disagreement with respect to the relative importance of various causes and therefore approach to solution. It is necessary to bring together the major issues that contribute to making gender equality in India as deep as whispered. So causes of gender inequality in India, there are many. The first will be the patriarchal society. India is a patriarchal society where men are seen as the brand winners and women are expected to take care of the household. This societal expectation has led to women being undervalued and not given equal opportunities. Since time immemorial, India has been an extremely this kind of society where set up in Indian society contribute to the fundamental inequality between men and women. As women were considered a part of the household thing belonging to their father and husband, they were unable to get say in any matter concerning their own development or other the community at large. Second will be the lack of education. So the disparity between the literary rate and men and women in India is a known issue. Some regional states have higher disparity, while some other states have better. The problem is not that there are few literate women in India, but rather the problem is lack of awareness among women to use their rights. They have their rights and remedies, but they're not aware about it. That how can they use their rights for their own betterment? They don't know about it. Then the third is gender biased violences. India has a high incidence of gender biased violences, including domestic violence, sexual harassment, and rape. The prevalences of such violence can contribute to the discrimination and marginalization of women. Uh, the basic gender biased violence is very high in this our society. Then we'll go for the next one, that is gender wage gap. Women in India even significantly less than men. Even they perform the same job at the same level, they are not getting the same wage that they have to. This wage gap is a major barrier to women economy empowerment and limits their ability to achieve financial independence. Although they are doing the same job at the same level, they are not paying same at the main are getting. Then the second one is next one is cultural norms and tradition. Many cultural practices in India such as dowry, child marriage and female infanticide and contributes to discrimination against women. Okay, and then the next is social customs, beliefs and practices. So in view of society, customs and cultural practices play a big role in keeping women at lower places in the society, refusing them opportunity which are general provided to men who are considered the dominant one in India. So lack of awareness among women is also a big cause for gender inequality, that one of the major cause of it. This lack of awareness is often due to prevailing cultural and social norms which dictate that women should be subservient to men. It is important to break down this barrier and help women become more aware of their rights so that they can demand equality, they can know their right, how they can possess their rights. So the next one is constitutional provisions. So we have our constitutional provisions regarding women's right, women protection, but they are not aware of. So the first one is Article 14. Article 14 of the Indian Constitution talk about the equal status, equality before the law. Every person has equal status before the law, and the state cannot deny it. Every woman and men have equal rights before law and equality before law. Second is Article 15. Article 15 prohibits discrimination of ground of religion, race, caste, sex, place of birth. This article cannot prevent the state from making any special provisions for women and child. The next is Article 16. Article 16 states that there shall be equal opportunity for all the citizens of India in matter of employment and appointment to any office. This next is Article 39. According to Article 39 of the Constitution, the state shall make sure that men and women have an equal right to an adequate livelihood. There is equal pay for men and women. The economic system does not result in the concentration of wealth, and the material resources are distributed to serve a common purpose. And the last is Article 42. This state shall secure women human condition for work and the maternity relief according to the Article 42 of the Constitution. Then the Indian Constitution framers were aware of women's oppressive and discriminatory standing in society. So they took extra care to ensure that the state took periodic action to ensure their equality. Article 14, 15 clause 2, 15 clause 3 and 16 of the Indian Constitution thus not only prohibit discrimination against women but also provide the state the authority to grant protection discrimination in the favor if proper circumstances. These provisions are part of the fundamental rights under the Indian Constitution. The preamble of the Indian Constitution guaranteed social, economic, political justice as well as equality of status and opportunity and individual dignity. The fundamental right guaranteed gender equality under the law. Article 14-15 prohibit in the state from discriminating based on sex, and Article 15 clause 3 states that nothing in this article prevent the state from making particular arrangement for women and children. The next Article 16 clause 1 ensure equal opportunity for all citizens in matter relating to employment and appointment to any state office. And the next, the Article 16 clause 2 prohibits discrimination in employment or appointment to any state office based solely on religion, race, caste, sex, based on religion, colors. Then the next Article 23 established the right to equality as well as special provisions such as prohibition of discrimination based on religion, color, sex and other factors, as well as prohibition of exploitations. The part 4 of the Indian Constitution contain the directive principle which are to be less important in state government and require, among other things, that our states shall strive to ensure gender equality. Article 39 clause D and 41 of the Indian Constitution recognize the principle of equal pay for equal work for men and women as well as right to work. Okay. Next we will move to legal provision at different level. So for women there are very legal provisions at national as well as international levels. So we will see one by one. The first is the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination against Women. This is an international treaty adopted by the United Nations General Assembly in 1979. It defines what constitutes discrimination against women and set up an agenda for national action to end such discrimination. It has been ratified by 189 countries. The next is the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, UDHR. We all know about this. This is a declaration adopted by the UN General Assembly in 1948. It states that human beings are born free and equal in dignity and their own rights. So that everyone is entitled to the rights and freedom without distinction of any kind, including sex. So the next is the Equal Pay Act. This is a US federal law that requires employees to pay men and women at same wage for equal work at the same level. It was signed in law in 1963. The next is the Violence Against Women. This is also a US federal law that was law passed in 1994. It provides funding to improve the responses of the criminal justice system to violence against women, and including provisions for funding shelters and service for victims of domestic violence. Next, the Indian Constitution. Our Indian Constitution provides for equality before the law and prohibits discrimination on the ground of sex. It also provides for affirmative section to promote the welfare of women and other disadvantaged group. The European Convention on Human Rights. This is a treaty signed by the member state of the Council of Europe in 1950. It guarantees a number of human rights, including the rights to equal treatment and the rights to respect for private and family life. There are just a few examples of legal provision for women's equality, just I have showed in my paper. There are many more on both nation and international level. Next, we will move to the laws protection for women's right. So the very first is right to maintenance. So the need of life such as food, clothing, shelter, education, access to healthcare and other necessity are included in maintenance. Even after a divorce, a married woman is entitled to maintenance from her husband as long as she doesn't marry to another guy. Remarry. Wife's style of living as well as the husband financial situation and circumstances determine maintenance, except when the wife is living in adultery, refuses to remain with her husband without good reason, or when both of them live apart with mutual consent. The husband is required by section 125 of the CPC to support his divorced wife. Any Indian woman, regardless of caste, religion, and may request maintenance from husband under the forementioned law. Then the next is right to equal pay. Our laws are now gender neutral. Equal remuneration for equal efforts is due to both men and women. The same is provided for by the Equal Remuneration Act. Equal compensation for equal work or a similar nature. It guaranteed for both male and female employees. There won't be any gender bias discrimination in the context of hiring practices or working condition in any office. The next one is right to dignity and decency. The Hindu Marriage Act of 1955 also provide facilities but only for Hindu women. The personal jewels of women are dignity and decency. Anyone who attempts to kidnap and distort her modesty is seen as in the sinner, and the law very likely to mandate punishment for such behavior. The criminal code outlines the penalties for offences against women such as sexual harassment in section 334 of IPC, assault with the purpose of strip modesty, stalking is 355D, etc. In the event that the lady herself is charged with the crime and taken into custody, she act properly and is treated decently. The next is right against domestic violence. Since the Protection of Women from Domestic Violence Act was passed in 2005 only, every woman has a legal right to protection from domestic violence, but they are not aware about it. Women violence cover not only physical but also psychology, sexual and financial abuse also. Therefore, if you are a daughter, wife, live-in partner, or you experience any of these abuses from your partner, husband, or one of the relatives, or from some of who is biologically or adoptively related to you, lives or has lived with you in a shared household, you are well covered by the provision of the Domestic Violence Act and may seek out of the various remedies it offers. To file a complaint, call a women helpline at 800 and 1091. They will let the police know about your situation. You can also contact the local women's cell, which you can discover via Google. They offer a specific service to these ladies and assist them in presenting their claims to the magistrate after properly preparing their complaint. You can also go to the police and file the report. The next is right of women at workplace. You are entitled to a women's restroom where you work. Facility for child care and feeding must be provided in the workplace with more than 30 female employees. Additionally, the Supreme Court and the government have taken steps to guarantee the security of women at work. The Sexual Harassment of Women at Workplace, the Prevention and Redressal Act 2013 was passed by the government in 2013 as a result of Honorable Supreme Court exclusive instruction for protecting women from workplace sexual harassment in Visakhapatnam versus State of Rajasthan. Therefore, if anyone at your workplace employment solicit your sexual behavior, make sexual suggestion, comment, whistle, or try to play any obscene song while staring at you, touch you improperly, and display pornography, or all of this action constitute a sexual harassment at last. So you can report them to internal complaints committee as well in your office. The next is right against dowry. The Dowry Prohibition Act 1961 makes it illegal for bride, grooms, or their parents to give or accept dowries during, prior to, or after a marriage. The definition of dowry in this act is any property or valued security given or agreed to the given by any party of the other, directly or indirectly, but is exclude dower or meher in the case of individual to whom Muslim personal law. If you provide, take, or help someone else give to take dowry, you will punished at least for 5 years in jail and fine of rupees 15,000. Next, the right to free legal aid. Whether you can afford legal representative on your own, if you are a woman who has been wronged, you are the right to request free legal service from Legal Service Authority under the Legal Service Authority Act 1987. Authorities for legal service have been established at the district, states, and national level as well. Legal services ranges from providing advice on legal issues and other legal action before any other contribute or authority. The last one is right to private defense. It is a right of defense when defending your body or the body of another person from the attacker. You run the risk of causing serious harm, severe harm, or even death. However, there are only a few situations in which killing the attacker is permitted without triggering legal consequences or penalties, such as if you believe your attacker is about to kill you, seriously injure you, or rape you, or kidnap you. In that situation, you throw or attempt to throw acid. You are allowed to kill them, and law will define. So, coming to the conclusion, that it is important to note that discrimination against women in India is a complex issue that requires a multifaceted approach to address. This includes education, legal reforms, and cultural change to promote gender equality and women's empowerment. With the prevalence of gender discrimination and social norms and practices, girls become exposed to the possibilities of child marriage, teenage pregnancy, child domestic work, poor education, and health sexual abuse, exploitation, and violence. Many of this manifestation will not change unless girls are valued more. Thank you so much.